Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pickles and Bacon Show. I am Pickles, and who are you?
I'm Bacon.
Hi, Bacon. Tell them what we're doing today, Bacon, while I fix everyone's name.
We are going to be doing a review on the movie Murder in the Heartland, which is about Charles Starkweather and Carol. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, even though I really don't care. Carol Fugate.
Yes.
I think I'm pronouncing that right. Fugate, whatever, however you want to say it.
Exactly. All right. Bacon, do you want to see what you can find about it on Wikipedia?
Un momento.
My fact checker.
Actually, I can't because if I exit out this page, you ain't gonna see me. So it's gonna log me out.
Okay, hold on. Let me fix your name and then I can find it. Hold on, I'll post it in the chat. There you go. All right, so I'll post it in the chat for you.
Wait,
And
hold on.
then
I got it. Hold on. Wait, I got it. Hold on a second. I'm trying to. Hold on a second.
all right, so while you're doing that, let's just do our normal thing. What do you know before we get into Wikipedia and all of that? What do you know about this movie?
I know it's about Charles Starkweather and Cal Fugate, as I said, and I know that they were supposed to be almost like a 1950s-ish version of Bonnie and Clyde, so to speak.
Okay. And have you seen this movie before?
I have seen it before. It just had been a while since I'd seen it originally, so there was a lot of things that were in there that I was like, I don't remember this being in there.
Yeah. The so what I know about this movie is I know that it's from 1993. I when I first I'd never seen it before. I had first seen this on when L&M had good movies on the Lifetime Movie Network. I saw this movie and ever since then I have been hooked. Let me share my screen and we can find stuff about
I brought
Wikipedia.
it up already. I brought it up, but it's not going into too much detail.
We'll just read us what it says.
Okay, so basically, I don't know if y'all can still see me, but I'm still here, y'all. So
We can
basically, this is
see
what
it.
it says. It's Murder in the Heartland. It's a televised miniseries that aired, excuse me, that aired on ABC in 1993. It's based on the 1957 to 1958 murder spree, carried out by 19-year-old Charles Starkweather throughout Nebraska and Wyoming. Starkweather, who's played by Tim Roth, the first half, the first half of the miniseries covers the murder. Second half of the movie covers the trial of Starkweather and Carol Ann Fugate, his 14-year-old girlfriend, um, ac- accomplice there increasingly the the wait disparate versions of the events that conspired as the trial unfolds. The film received strong praise from critics and Emmy nominations.
Yeah, this movie is really good. As far as I know, I've never been able to find this movie on a DVD anywhere. I've never seen it available for video. The only way that we were able to watch this was in two parts on YouTube. And then the other fun fact that I noticed, that I saw on the Wikipedia is that the entire film was shot on location in McKinney in Dallas, Texas. Don't at us. We've never been there. Would never go there. It sounds cringy. And then an edited version apparently saw a limited release on VHS. Again, I've never seen an actual physical copy of it. But anyways, um also we decided to pick this movie Murder in the Heartland because that documentary The 12th Victim just came out. about Carol Fugate and like her life in prison and all of that. I didn't get to the end of it because I was just like, I
I
saw
have
the
my own
movie.
thoughts on that, but I'm gonna leave it alone.
All right. So the first thing that I wrote down is that this was the first movie that I ever saw with Tim Roth, and I fell madly in love. And like it's been a love affair, a love and hate relationship since the day we first met. Like I love me some evil Tim Roth all day, but like not to mention Gary Oldman. I mean Gary Oldman too is like that's another one. And then so getting into the beginning of the film, the first thing you see is I gotta show y'all this because this was wild. I have a picture of it. Hold on. See if I can find it. But there's a disclaimer at the beginning of this movie that says when Dwight D. Eisenhower was president and Elvis was king, Americans' innocence was suddenly shattered by a series of unprecedented crimes. The legacy of what happened still haunts us to this day. Like, I'm just kind of like flattered, but at the same time, like, okay, we got an Elvis mention. Like, what part of the multiverse are we in right now, right?
Well, it took place in '57, but if you remember, this would have been in the timeline where Elvis would have been already going up to go into the army.
Yeah. So after that little disclaimer, um, it also said something that there was like a brief period that says, whatever. So the first scene that this movie opens with is you can hear That'll Be the Day is playing on what we see is the radio in the car where Tim Roth as Charles Starkweather is driving the car and they're having like this little jam session. And I have to wonder though, because they're all dressed like it's fucking Nebraska in winter, like in January. And when I just know that Texas is in like summer and they're dressed like it's a freaking blizzard, like, ma'am, sir, calm down. Um, and then they are jamming to the song on the radio as the credits begin to roll. Um, the next scene that we get is Starkweather stops the car to talk to Gus, who, by the way, is played by Robert Blossom, who you might know from the Home Alone, the first Home Alone movie. He's the old man. But he plays Gus in this movie, and I think he's the second victim. I was trying to count all the victims in the movie, but I couldn't keep up
I
because,
only got to
like,
10.5. That's it.
I only got to like 10 and a half, and then I, like, whatever. Um, but I also saw a picture of Robert's Blossom when he was young, and he was not bad looking. I will say that. Um, anyways, back to the movie. Starkweather tells Gus that they came out for target practice, and then you see them shooting cans or whatever they're shooting, and like Fairuza Balk at this moment doesn't have any really great lines. She's just kind of standing around looking cute. Um, did you notice anything at the beginning of this movie?
I was just curious as to why Elvis got a mention, but Buddy Holly really didn't. This was still around the era of Buddy Holly. Like they literally played "That'll Be the Day." So like, but I know Buddy Holly hadn't had the plane crash yet. So
No, this was 58. So that would be next. That would be
57, 57 to 58. It would have been the years where he was still like really big. I think at this point he would have been a tad bit bigger than Elvis.
yeah. Oh my god. Sorry, guys. I'm about to go to sleep straight after this. All right. So the next scene that we see is Starkweather shooting at cans, and then Carol makes him chase after her. I have to admit that I feel like Tim Roth and Fairuza Balk in this movie add like when they fill in the little gaps of like their couple things and like you can see I feel like I can see Tim Roth like thinking of like his next move and what he's gonna do. And I think that these little added scenes of like where he's chasing her around and they're playing. I think those were like little extra touches that you have picked up. See, this is why I can't go to a con because if I met Tim Roth, I'm not going to be talking about, like the things he's going to talk about right here. I'm going to be like Murder in the Heartland. Let's go, right? I'd be like, let's talk Murder in the Highlands. I'll bring out the deep cuts, the deep cuts.
See, that's
Big
why we
time.
like. That's why we when we were at the Monkeys concert, right? When we saw the Monkeys in 2021, right? I
Yeah.
was surprised that they sang all the like B sides and deep cuts. Like that was amazing to me.
Oh yeah, we'll discuss that later. Um. So then, Fugate, like in Starkweather, they're kind of like running around in front of what looks like a big massive lake or whatever, and then he catches her, and they start discussing plans for the future. Da 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 da. Like, um, happy life, happy wife, right? But there is one thing that I did notice. Is that there was a lot of dialogue that was actual dialogue that was directly from Starkweather. Like when you I noticed that that there were some quotes from the book Wasteland, and I think some of the quotes also were in that documentary, The 12th Victim. But a lot of those quotes that he was saying as in the dialogue and like the monologue are actual direct quotes. So I was like,
I
I
do
thought
have
that
something
was
to say though. I just wanted to say though. I saw the real Charles Starkweather and the real Carol Ann Fugate. Why did they look? Okay, so they were like 19 or 14, right? Why did they look like they
Mhm,
were 45 at the face?
exactly. Um, uh, so yeah, that's another thing that I've noticed. Like, I've never seen a movie where they actually incorporate real like quotes and dialogue that the person actually said into a movie. Which seeing it back now and actually like listening to it with headphones, and you actually hear the dialogue, you're like, oh, he really did say that though. Which is which I thought was interesting. Starkweather says that he wants to build a house one day, and then Carol asks what they're gonna do for money, which she replies, "I'll get you money." And then the next thing that we see is Starkweather at the Crest gas station. And he's just sitting in the car watching this dude. He's got this like little flippy floppy hat thingamajiggy on because again, it's supposed to be the dead of winter in Nebraska, but they're in Texas, and I'm like, I am sweating watching you. Um, so the gas attendant is there. He's eating a sandwich. When Starkweather burst in through the door with his rifle and he's robbing the gas station. By the way, took he only can get the money in the register, which is like less than like $30 or something apparently. I can't remember exactly how much it was. It's been a while since I've read that book.
I think he said it was $28.
It was like $28 and some change. And he also gets a fruitcake and a carton of cigarettes, which solid choice, dude. Would have picked the same thing. Uh and which I mean it's kind of right on par with being like a 19-year-old criminal, but what can you say? And then after the long drive, he shoots that attendant, and this is the first victim. Um, and also, fun fact from San Antonio to McKinney, Texas is exactly 4 hours and 33 minutes. I would never drive that. I would never drive that. Um, the next thing is that I noticed that it cuts to a photo um, on the side of the dresser mirror. And if you look really closely, it's the actual Starkweather and Fugate in the
I
actual
noticed that.
picture.
I noticed that.
Um, and the apartment is messy, and that's where Starkweather's on the bed. And this is the first. This is what I was talking about when I was talking about actual quotes. He says, "People got to learn. I'm getting my way." And then that was an actual quote that Tim Roth says at the beginning of this movie. And then he sort of picks up his gun and he like poses in like his little like I think he's like wearing a sweatshirt or like a blue shirt or something like that. But I thought that was like pretty. I was like, okay, I got it. By the way, for them being in Nebraska and being from the South, he doesn't have an accent. I don't know what kind of a choice that was, but Mr. Roth, whatever.
Well, neither did the real Charles Starkweather. If you listen to interviews, he didn't really have an accent either.
I don't know for sure if I can't remember because they did play a tape of him.
Well, if you listen, okay. Well, if you heard the archival footage that they were playing on the victims, he didn't have no accent. He sounded like he was like a regular guy, like the way I'm talking.
Yeah, I guess he kind of did. I don't know. For some reason, I thought he may have had an accent. Maybe I'm thinking about Badlands. I don't know. Anyways, so he shoots the gas station attendant, and of course, the police find the body of the gas station attendant. So, by the way, as we're watching Murder in the Heartland, right, and then I was watching the 12th victim documentary. I am so surprised because when you watch the documentary, they are actually showing you the pictures of the dead bodies. Like I was like, what? Like they actually showed. Usually they'll like kind of gloss over it so you don't see it. Like they actually showed
The
the
victims and the bodies.
pictures, the pictures of the dead bodies in the multiple angles, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're going there then. We went there for sure, but I thought that was interesting in the documentary. And then after all of this, we see the officer talking to a reporter, followed by the county attorney or district attorney, whoever he is, Elmer Steele or Shield, who is played by Randy Quaid, who you might know, who is who played Colonel Tom Parker in the Elvis miniseries from 2005.
And for those of
Don't
you who may also know, he was also, I think, the boss in Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, and don't like the guy. He's a jerk.
They both
He's
are.
not.
Him and Dennis. Him and Dennis. Fuck them both.
anyways, but that's beside the point. Next thing that we see is Starkweather's leaving his apartment. He has a chat with a neighbor who I think is Carol's grandmother because we see her later on in the movie. Excuse me. And she's talking about Carol and her mom. But anyways, and she says that they have some sort of dialogue. I didn't catch it because it was like really late. And then Starkweather drives to Carol's house where we see her hanging out clothes, by the way, in the dead of winter. Um, and she's all, by the way, for her, like being at home, just chillaxing, she is all decked out. She's got the eyeliner, she's got the makeup, her hair is done, she's got the scarf on. Like, ma'am, where you dress like that to hang out clothes in the dead of winter? I was
Mm-hmm.
like, interesting choice, but okay, moving right along. So Starkweather holds out a present out of the window for her, and she's trying to be like all coy, like like whatever. She has that little moment again. I think this was just creative liberties added for the movie, and he lures her to the car so they could talk. And Starkweather jumps in the back seat, and then Carol gets into the car and opens the present which he gave her. And by the way, it's a bracelet. And he also tells her that he robbed a bank, and she doesn't even bat an eyelash. Like, where'd you get all this money from? Where'd you get this money from? And then the next thing is Carol's mom then opens the front door, and she sees the two of them in the car kissing. Ooh, right? And then she calls Carol inside, and Starkweather tells Carol to be at his place at 5. Like, how are you gonna get there, girl? But okay, pop off, right? um, I should also mention that this movie is split up into two parts. The first part is the like actual murder and things like that, and them being apprehended, and then the second part's the trial. And the second part kind of sucks, but that's okay. Anyways, so the next thing is when she gets to his place at 5, they're like lying on the bed. Carol's putting on blood red lipstick. I mean, it is red, and they are discussing going away together, which obviously. But also what I noticed in the scene is if they are trying to convince us it is cold in Nebraska at this time, and they are in that apartment, which I imagine does not have heat, but they are laying in bed together, and they are not even layered. Like, she's wearing a nightgown. I think he has his shirt open or something. I'm like, I would be fucking freezing. Like, give me all the blankets. Um, then the next thing is we cut back to Carol's mom. She is in the kitchen angrily chopping carrots because, how else can we tell the character's angry unless they're chopping up carrots? And that's when Carol walks in, and both of her parents are angry that she's home late. This is also when we see that there's a little baby at home. She's a little girl. She's a little baby. Um. Anyways, the next part is we see Starkweather, who's driving and sees Carol walking home from school alone. The reason she's walking home from school is because in the previous scene, Carol's mom starts yelling at her that she doesn't want her to see Starkweather anymore, and that she doesn't want her to get pregnant because she already has another baby, or something to that effect. Like, again, there were some times where you were just like, well, I fell asleep and then I woke up again. Um, so
Wait, hold
uh,
on. Let me stop you right there for a second. Okay, let me
yeah,
stop you right there. But okay, this lady's talking about her getting pregnant. Meanwhile, this lady's like almost what 100 years old and has a fucking another baby.
I know. Like, I swear to God, this woman's probably not even. She's probably like my age or like younger than me, and she looks like she's fucking 60. Like, y'all, what are y'all doing?
Will Tim
Um,
Roth then? Will Tim Roth then? And oh my god, I can't pronounce her name. Um, the girl was playing Carol. Okay, they were like almost in their 30s.
yep, they sure were. So Carol's walking home from school alone. Starkweather stops the car, asks where she's going. She says she's going home. And he's like, "Well, I was supposed to pick you up." And then she starts running away from him. And knowing that, oh, look at there's Woodstock. She starts running away from him, knowing that he's in the car and he may have a gun on her, on him. Like, girl, bye.
Love you too, Woodstock. Get down, bud. Get down, bud.
So he's chasing her into the field, and he obviously knocks her over. Starkweather then tells her that he got fired. After fighting with his boss, like, we've all been there. Then Carol tells him that she can't see him anymore, and that she wants him to date other girls. Which, I mean, I
Hold on,
don't know.
Woodstock. Woodstock. Wait, wait. Hold on.
Woodstock, are you directing? This is our director, Woodstock, by the way, right?
Yep. He's the official director, and he's yelling at me because I'm not doing this right.
All right, Woodstock, get off the table now. Get off the table, Woodstock. Anyways, so and then the next thing is Starkweather then goes to Carol's parents' house, and he's angry about this talk that we just had, where Carol
The
tells him that
fuck?
he
Come on.
wanted to date other girls or whatever. And he gets out of this car dressed in a nice jacket and this like nice leather jacket. He's holding flowers. And he goes to Carol's house. Her mom comes out wearing this raggedy ass house coat. Um, Again, it's supposed to be winter in like Nebraska, and she's wearing this like tiny little house coat, no fucking layers. I don't think there's heat in this
Hold
house,
on a
by the
second.
way. All right, you guys. I'm sorry. I had to turn on the AC, and it makes this awful noise. Y'all are just gonna have to deal with it. Um. So at this point, he gets out of the car. He's wearing, this nice jacket. He gives Carol's mom flowers and asks if he can talk to her and if he can go inside, and she's like, okay, whatever. Or did he just barge in?
I think he just barged in because she said she didn't want him there because she was saying that that she wanted Carol to stop seeing him because she didn't want to wind up pregnant. And this is what I was talking about. That she was telling telling him that she had another child. Meanwhile, this lady's hell of like, what, 90 and fucking has another child? I'm like, Miss Ma'am.
Oh yeah, and he says in the scene, I was hoping we could have a talk. And then Carol's mom doesn't let him in the house, but he just sort of barges in and says that he wants to talk to her about Carol. And that's when Carol's mom calls for the stepdad, and the stepdad throws him out of the house. And of course, Starkweather goes fucking ape shit. He goes to the car, gets the rifle, goes back into the house, and kills her parents. Point blank, period. No discussion, no thinking about it, no nothing. Just what? They're all dead. All dead.
Now, I have a question. Okay,
Yeah.
I have a question. We'll get to this probably toward the end, but I have a question. You mean to tell me they were held up in that house for 4 days and she didn't know?
I have no idea. So after that, he's waiting for Carol to get home. So he's laying in bed. He's waiting for her. He's waiting for Carol. She comes home from school and he greets her. She's so surprised to see him, in the house and asks where everyone is. Starkweather tells her that he took her parents to a hideout that he knows, which
That's the code word for it. They did, girl.
all right, girl. And and in this film, I just want to point out that she allegedly doesn't know that at this point she does not know that he's murdered her parents, or at least that's what this movie alludes to. I can't say what was running through her head at this time because if it were me, I'd be blowing the place up, but that's just me. So in the next scene, we now see Starkweather. He's leaving the house without Carol, and they show this twice. They show this particular scene at the beginning of right at this part, because he's leaving without her, and supposedly she was left alone in the house. Or it's made to look like she's left alone, and whatever. We'll come back to that part in the second part. Um, the next part is there's a yellow taxi that pulls up to the front of the house, and a girl gets out. She rolls down the window first, and then it turns out this is supposed to be Carol's sister,
Who looks
Barbara,
younger than Carol?
who actually looks younger than Miss Fairuza Balk right here, but that's played by Renee Zellweger. And of course, Carol tells her sister to leave. And then so she manages to get her sister back into the car, and then Carol says that she's sorry and that their parents will be hurt if she doesn't leave. But apparently nobody questions it, because if you told me that my parents were going to be hurt if I didn't leave, I'd be like, what? What'd you say? Because then I'm going to have to really go off. After this, so the next part is Carol's. Now this part was a part that I did not understand, because apparently Carol's grandmother comes over while Starkweather is sawing the barrel off the shotgun. But then remember that old lady that I was telling you about at the beginning that walks through the hall that says that she wanted to make Carol that sweater or something that was knitting? I also thought that was supposed to be Carol's grandmother, but it looks like it's a different actress at the door, who knocks at the part where he's sawing the barrel off the shotgun, and Carol tells her grandmother not to come in, that everyone is sick and their life is in danger, and it's not made really fully clear what happens. I thought at some point she had opened the door to speak to her grandmother, but I think the door was closed the whole time, because you can hear the grandmother speaking to her through the door. At this part, right?
No, I thought she opened the door too, because didn't she open the door at some point for somebody?
Yeah, she opens the door. She does open the door because she puts the note on the door stating that everyone has the flu, and it's noted, and then it says Miss Bartlett or sign Miss Bartlett or whatever. And then at that point, after she opens the door to put the note on the door, Carol goes back to cutting out paper dolls at the table, which I kind of like that part because it just made it just sort of reiterated to you that Carol is still technically a little girl. She's like 14. She's still cutting out paper dolls. But it also, to me, that
I
also
mean, what else
showed.
are they gonna do in that time at age 14?
But it also showed me that maybe there was some sort of like autism or something there, that would have made like a 14-year-old do this at that time because I'd be busy cutting out my Elvis posters. But I'm just saying. So then at this point, Carol is now looking out the window, and there's a police car pulling up, and you're like, these motherfuckers still sticking their nose in the damn business like the freaking Keystone Cops over here.
And
So
okay, and here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing that bothers me. Right? These cops come to the day. Now, if y'all know the police, they're supposed to look around the house, shine their flashlights, be like, who else in there? This guy didn't even do that.
this is one of the good old boys from like 1957 where you can like leave your door open and you cannot get murdered in your house, apparently.
But still, I don't care where you are or what era it is. You know these nosy ass motherfucking police officers, and I have a friend who's a police officer. She knows I'm gonna talk shit on her directly, okay?
Yeah,
And you know that they nosy ass can't keep their 2 cents out your goddamn business. They be over there shining flashlights like who's in there with you, whatever, looking around the house.
exactly. So Carol runs to the back, and wakes Starkweather up and says the police are here. She opens, the officer comes to the porch and starts knocking, and she opens the door and says her brother-in-law, or the officer knocks and tells her through the door that her brother-in-law had called in a welfare check. Now, the brother-in-law, I think, was the same guy that was sitting in that taxi with Renee Zellweger earlier, but it was kind of hard to see because
Okay,
the
now right there, I have a question. Okay, now right there, I
yeah,
have a question. So when they show them going back into the house, I think it's supposed to be the brother-in-law and Starkweather's brother. Do we
yeah.
get a mention of who they are? Because like they just go into that house. Like I thought they were complete strangers when there's no
The
mention
only
of.
the only time that I remember where it's made clear who they were was when the district attorney was saying it when he was speaking on the to the reporter.
Okay, see, I didn't even hear that because like it wasn't until I saw the documentary that they actually announced who they were. I was like, oh, because they
Well,
said
the only reason that I picked that part up though was because I was listening to the movie with headphones. Because it's so, you guys, the volume on this movie is terrible. I had to listen. I had to literally watch it with headphones so I could hear what was
yeah,
happening.
because like there's no mention of who those guys are. Like they just bust into the window. They just like literally open the window. And another thing is, how did they know the window was open?
I think he was trying the windows. Anyways, so Carol opens the door for the cop, and immediately she plays dumb and says she didn't know who called, or she didn't know those guys, but that they were estranged, they were her in-laws or whoever, and all the while Starkweather's behind the door holding this rifle, and of course, the officer buys the story because she's a sweet innocent little girl, and da 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 da. He leaves, and then uh Carol closes the door, and Starkweather says that they gotta leave immediately. And then, so this is where I think the second victim's about to come up, but again, I lost count, you guys, so bear with me. Um, the
Actually,
next,
this is like the fourth victim already coming up.
yeah, so uh, at this point now, Chuck and Carol get stuck in the mud. She calls him. I said Chuck because she calls him Chuck several times in the movie. I've never heard anyone in any interviews call him Chuck. They either call him Charles or they call him Charlie, but I digress. So we're gonna go with that. They are stuck in the mud, which I had a moment when I saw the tires spinning. I thought of my cousin Vinny, and I was like, I gotta stop. But anyways, Chuck is telling her to try to push the car, And I was like, Tamroth is like 150 pounds soaking wet. Like, how are you going to push this Hudson, sir? How are you going to push this fucking car that weighs like 3 tons? Um, then he tells her that Gus's place is like nearby. So Carol says she doesn't want to wait for. He tells her to stay in the car, but then she says no, she doesn't want to wait for him to get back. Or she says no, I'll wait for you to get back, and then he's like, no, you won't. You're coming with me. So they walk to Gus's house, which in the movie they make it seem like it's like right down the street, but it was probably like 2 or 3 miles. It was like far. But so they walk to Gus's house, and of course Gus is shocked to see him. Gus is holding his rifle in the scene when he walks towards Starkweather and Carol. And there's some like goofy dialogue here, but Gus starts making a joke about Charlie, like why are they still together? And it's just like a little silly joke. But hearing Carol laugh pisses Starkweather off so bad that he kills Gus. Like, boom, dead. Like right as he's walking away, the old man never
Thanks for
saw it.
playing,
You're like,
Gus.
thanks for playing. You're like, next player, right? Okay, so this is the part that we were talking about now. So, back at the house, this is where Starkweather's brother and I think her brother-in-law, go to the house and they start looking around for, um, a way like inside to see where everyone is.
And also, let me stop you right there. According to the documentary, they didn't know each other. So how did the brother and brother-in-law know each other to go to that house?
I don't know. So they're looking around. They find the note on the door. They continue to go and look around, and then they go to the backyard and they open the chicken coop, and that's where they find the body of Carol's mom and stepdad and the baby, all laid out in the chicken coop. So that's like what we're on victim. At this point,
Five.
it's
It's 5.
5 now.
Which is the gas station attendant, then her mom, her dad,
Gus.
her baby sister, that's 4. Gus is 5.
Yeah. So now Chuck and Carol have moved Gus's body back into the house. Of course, they take his petty cash. And at this point, we see Carol looking kind of remorseful. I'm like, I don't know if I believe it. Chuck says that Carol should take a bath in the bathtub. She says no, she doesn't want to because she's scared of being in the house with the dead body, and that at this point she allegedly says that Chuck should leave her and that she wants to go home. And that's when the next scene that we see is Chuck's brother and her brother-in-law are talking to the reporter in front of the Bartlett house, and that's when they are saying who the bodies were that they found, and this is where you actually learned who those guys are because they
Okay,
don't
see, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that part. I was sitting there, I was like, and these guys are supposed to be who? Like, because the way that they
exactly.
made it seem like they were complete anonymous strangers.
Yeah, like it's not readily clear. So now we get another shot of Elmer Steele. He's back. He's now at the house, and he speaks to the reporter, and he's confirming the deaths of the Bartletts, and declares Carol and Chuck the prime suspects. Um, he also then goes into the house, and he looks at that tiny little picture on the mirror, which I don't know if he was like trying to study it or like trying to figure out what the motives could have been in that scene, but I just thought that was like a very interesting choice. But anyways, so moving right along. Now, the police go to that old lady that we were talking about that says that she's Carol's grandmother. Again, I'm not sure because I saw another lady. It wasn't made clear to me. The old lady defends Carol, saying that she knows she didn't do anything wrong and that she loved her mom and her baby sister and was always asking about them. Gonna put this out now. Then after that part, you see Chuck lets Carol drive the car. He's trying to teach her how to drive. And they stop in this little place to like get something to eat. They park the car, which has a flat tire. And then this is where we see the next victim. He's talking to his dad across the street in the car part store, and there's a little bit of dialogue, and he says to be careful because there might be a killer out. Because now everyone's talking about it on the news and like it's on the radio and
I think this
everything
is
like
6 and
that.
7 now, right?
It's about to be 6 and 7. This is the scene where Charlie's kicking the flat tire, where they pull into that filling station. And then this is the scene where it's like completely dark and you can't really see. You can just make out their outlines, but Chuck gets candy out of that vending machine, and Carol complains that she wants real food. So, so this part confused me because Charlie gives her money and says to go across the street and get them some food and that he'll be there in a minute, and then they share that awkward kiss as she leaves, right? But then a moment later, she says that he needed another dollar, but I thought he gave her more money. Again, I don't remember because I have to go back and watch that scene, but I don't want to. So now in the diner, Carol is playing music on the jukebox where she waits for the food and she's lighting a cigarette. This is important because in that documentary, apparently at 14, Honey Bunny over here was smoking, but this is the only time that you actually see her smoking in the movie. Uh, Whereas Tim Roth over here smoking like a
His
chimney.
kneecaps off.
He's smoking his damn kneecaps off. Like, damn, son. Um, sorry. So then after that, Charlie walks in. He walks up to the bar. She tells him that he needs another she needs another dollar. By the way, the food, they ordered 4 hamburgers, which I'm guessing came with the fries or whatever. Guess how much they paid for this food?
I
Guess how
disqualify
much?
myself from this. I disqualify myself from this because I saw the movie, so I already know.
It's $2.35. If my fat ass could buy 4 burgers and fries for $2.35, like y'all are gonna have to wheel me out like Hannibal Lecter because I ain't leaving. I am not leaving.
Like on the Andy Griffith show, right? Like on the Andy Griffith show, right? A pound
Yeah.
of bacon is 39 cents.
Shit. How much is a pound of bacon now? Like $4?
That's like one fucking thing of bacon.
That's not even brand name bacon either, right? That's that like dollar store shit.
Exactly. And like that's not like watching shows like the Andy Griffith show or whatever. She's like, I'm the Honeymooners. We're gonna get off topic a little bit. She's like, I'm the Honeymooners. His phone bill's $1.75, and he was mad about it. I'm like, shit. When the next man have my phone bill $1.75? I wouldn't know how to behave.
And his rent was what? How much was his rent?
Like $3.
Girl, if my rent was $3, like
and he refused to pay it. Like they literally kicked him out because he refused to pay the $3 for rent.
I swear to God, if my rent was $3, I'd be clowning. Do you think I would be a rich girl? Like literally. So at this point, the waitress and Carol make eye contact at the window after she pays for her food and like kind of walks out. They like have this moment, which I was like, okay,
but see right there, I thought there was some another underlying thing that they were trying to like say there. I was like,
I don't know what they were going for there, but that was definitely a choice. The next thing you see is Bob Bennett with his girlfriend. We just mentioned Bob a moment ago. He's getting ready to go out with his girlfriend, also named Carol, who he picks up to go out for a drive. And the car, Charlie and Carol's car had broken down again, and he says something about the transmission. He goes out. He gets out of the car, grabs the rifle, and says, "Fine, we'll walk." Carol hesitantly follows, uh, uh, holding her rifle, and they talk about leaving and going to Kansas or wherever. And then um, Bob and Carol pull up. They pick up Charlie and Carol. They ask if they need. They say Charlie and Carol said they need a ride into town. Um, then the next thing you know, you see Bob's father. He calls the Keystone Cops to say Bob is missing, that he hasn't come home yet. And then the radio then pops up and says something about Starkweather and the missing girls, and that they need to be careful because Starkweather is on the loose. And the father hears this, and the Keystone Cop tells him not to worry. Gives him a little bit of false hope and like bullshit, and tells him, "Oh, go home. I'm sure your son is waiting for you there." Like foreshadowing. Um, the next part is a dude in the tractor finds the car the next day in broad daylight, which is probably some like rando because they like filmed on his farm or something, which was fun. And then here goes the Keystone Cops. Calls to tell Elmer Shield, saying that they found Starkweather's car, and that's where they have this Gus's farmhouse surrounded. And that's where that's where everyone thinks that they're saying. They're waiting for the tear gas to arrive. Now all the police pull up at Gus's farmhouse, and they have the place surrounded. The negotiators directing whoever they think is in the house to come out. But nobody's coming out, so the snipers shoot their tear gas. And then an officer comes out of the house and says that they found um, the body of Gus inside and that he was shot in the head, which, surprise, surprise, we're still on victim number
Hold on,
six
hold
and
on, hold
seven.
on, hold on. When he shot him, though, it was in the back. How did him being shot in the back go through his head? My question.
I don't know. I couldn't see it. I didn't remember exactly where it was because at this point I'm like, oh my god, this movie's so long.
Because
Um,
like literally, if you watch that scene where he shoots him, right?
yeah,
Okay, he shoots him in the back. Then they
yeah,
proceed to say that he was shot in the head. What?
exactly, exactly. So now the next part is, um, Carol and Charlie are they're driving Bob Bennett's car, and Carol throws the school books out of the window. She's like, it's bad luck. But she's wearing the girl's jacket, a Carol's jacket, the girlfriend of that dude. And she and Starkweather are driving. They drive a lot in this movie, by the way. Um, Next, the Keystone Cops find the bodies of Bob Bennett and Carol King. And they inform the reporter on TV of what they found. And then this is where he says, "We've got a mad dog killer on our hands," which I was like, okay, I don't remember hearing that before, but like, okay, whatever. So then this is an important note, where I mentioned about the documentary and like all of the 12th victim. It's on Paramount Plus if you guys want to see it. I'm gonna take a break because I'm getting tired, and we'll see you in a little.